Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching this. Joining us again on Happiness Aid. And you can tell in my face, I've even got a haircut just for you, JL, the office staff are asking. We've got Justin Langer back on deck. We're going to have a bit of fun with him today, few Q&As, but thanks very much again, mate, for jumping on board with us.
Pleasure, mate. No worries at all.
Awesome. All right. So these questions have come off the socials as they do these days. And a lot of them come off the back of our chat last week, but some are just random ones that I thought we'd have a bit of fun with. The first one is from Aaron McDonald, a local lawyer. Don't hold it against him. Here in Perth, great bloke. He says, you were known for your mental toughness. It's a bit of a trademark. What tips do you have to gain it? And I'll put a bit of a caveat on that. I've heard you say some stuff on, say, the Howie Games podcast, for example, that you didn't feel like you were mentally tough the whole time, and it sort of built over that career. What are your tips now that you've got the retrospect on mental toughness?
Yeah, I guess one thing I'll say about mental, it's something you learn. It's not something you're necessarily born with. And there's a couple of tips for developing mental toughness. One is life.
Yeah.
And when you get adversity, you've got a choice. You can either choose to get better or you can choose to quit. And if you're by choosing to get better, you've got to look at, mentally and physically and technically, spiritually, all those things. You've got to look how you can improve if you want more opportunities to come up. So life has a really good way of developing mental toughness. I think the second thing is physical training.
Yeah.
And I've always felt that whilst life can give you the opportunity to develop mental toughness, physical training for me, that's why I'm such a big advocate of staying fit and healthy and elite fitness in our business, elite fitness, because it's not just about looking ripped or being more agile in the field or being able to bowl longer or bat longer. It's also about by going through the process of training. Training's really hard. Like if you if you go to the park and you run 10 laps of the oval, after about 1.5 laps, your mind's going to be telling you all the reasons to stop. If you actually just get through and keep grinding through and get to the end, one, you gain confidence from it, but you're also learning strategies about how to stop that little voice on your shoulder telling you stop, or no one else is doing it, or why you do it. You're going to get injured, you're going to get hurt. You should be down so mental training. And the third thing for me is meditation. So I learned meditation. We might have talked about this last time, but I learned how to meditate in 1993. I've been basically meditating every day since. I did half an hour's meditation this morning. And the thing about meditation is that it teaches your mind to come back to your breath or your mantra or a symbol, whatever it is. So that's mental toughness. All mental toughness is giving 100% attention into what you need to, and just letting the distractions go. So to me, that would be the definition of mental toughness. It's learned. You're not born with it. Physical training, life, and meditation have helped me to develop what they say, mental toughness.
I love that you say you're not, you're not born with it. Sorry. You're not born with it because, as you said, the biggest teacher of it is life, and then taking those lessons. But it's about obviously switching into the fact that you can take those life lessons and use them for positive, no matter how negative they are, right?
Well, and positive, actually. You have positive life experiences. You learn lessons from them. You have what are perceived to be tough life lessons or tough experiences in your life. If you have the attitude that, well, two things. One, when it gets tough, I either get better or I quit, and you choose the first one, that's a big step forward. But the very thought of whatever happens, I'm going to learn something from it. And it sounds like a cliche, but it's actually, I'm not writing that in a book. It's just true. Learn from it. And it's when you're going through it, it's really hard. I'm sure that's when people suffer depression and anxiety. It's because, they're getting stuck a lot of the time, stuck on the wrong things, stuck on the wrong things. I wrote a book called Seeing the Sunrise, and it talks about seeing where you want to go, not to where you don't want to go. And a lot of us get caught up on, what if this happens and what if that happens? And we think it's like catastrophic thinking.
Yeah.
But often, most times it doesn't happen. We get hooked up on the worst case scenarios rather than the best case scenarios. If you can stay focused on the best case scenarios, then that helps as well, I think.
I think I love that. And I also love that saying around you've survived 100% of your worst days to this point. You know, so using those lessons going forward is so important. And I think the conditioning around it, the brain's like a muscle. I think I had this conversation with Ashton Agar as well. So, you know, the brain's like a muscle, just like any other muscle. It's about training and conditioning and talking yourself through those moments that do seem the toughest. Maybe it is, you know, a lap and a half around the park, or maybe it's a relationship that's gone wrong. You know, there's different elements to it.
I learned an amazing lesson a couple of years ago now. My best friend died. Mm-hmm. Benny Beale. He was went for a jog the other day and had a heart attack. Just died. He was 47 or 46 at the time, I think. 46.
Yeah, wow.
And then a few months later, my mum passed away. So, and the lesson I learned is they're the worst two things that could happen in my life at that period. Like my mum dying, I was so close to my mum.
Of course.
And then my best mate since I was a little kid. And they both died. And what I realised, if I can get through that, I can get through anything.
That barometer of life, right?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of bad things happen to us in life, but that's life. That's what is living. But if you can get through it, you can get through anything. And I love that, mate. Really bitter experience, but you can get through everything if you got the right perspective and the right attitude, I think.
Yeah, and I think you put it best around what your focus is going towards. You know, what you focus on grows or expands, right? So if you're looking at everything negative as a result of, you know, you're doing, I mean, that's pretty unfair to put on yourself, right?
Yeah, and I'll tell you a funny story, right? This is sitting at my desk, right? See that little model car?
Yep.
Just a true story. When I was 18 or 19, I was at the Albert Oval in Victoria. And so I was probably, 31 years ago, 30 years ago. And I was at the ground, there's a grass bank on this oval, famous cricket ground in Melbourne. And I was there playing a Colts game or something. And this black convertible car drives in and drives onto the grass bank. And a guy jumps out of it in a pair of running shorts and a singlet, mop of curly hair. And my coach at the time, Darren Ramsey, said, "You know who that is?" I said, No idea. His name's Craig Bradley. I said, "All right." He goes, "You know what he does for a living?" I said, "No." He said, "He plays footy on the weekend and he gets fit during the week." And I thought, oh my gosh, imagine doing that for a job. Craig Bradley played over 300 games for Carlton. He's a Carlton legend in the AFL. I said to myself, imagine that. Anyway, a little while later, Darren Ramshaw sent me this model car. So this model car would be 30 years old, right? And I took this car, and I don't care about cars. I'm not a car, a rev head or anything like that, but I took this model with me. I had it in my houses. I had it on my desk. I took it overseas with me. And I used to write it in my journal. One day I'm going to have a black convertible car like Craig Bradley when I was 19. I literally took this model car everywhere with it. It's still sitting on my desk today. The day after I retired from Test cricket, after playing Test cricket for 15 years, the day after, guess what drove into my driveway?
No way.
A black Mercedes-Benz. It wasn't about the car. It was just about the dream. It's what you focus on. And that's a material one. But for me, it also is about the baggy green cap and playing for. So I focused, and there was lots of times where I wanted to quit, but I kept putting my head back onto playing cricket for Australia. So it's what you focus on. Now, next to that car is this one. So
I was going to say, is there another one?
And that car I've still got that car in my garage today. It's done. That was in 2006. It's 14 years old. It's done 40,000 kilometres.
That's seen a heck of a lot of clicks.
No, that's no clicks, mate. It's 14 years. It's done 40,000
kilometres. Did you say 40,000? I thought you said 400,000.
40,000 kilometres it's done. And it's still.
Does it leave the garage? Yeah.
It's worth about 20 grand now, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't leave because I will not sell it. My kids can't drive it. No one can touch it because it's doing my dream.
They're like, Dad, just one trip to the coast, please.
They've all tried. But the point is what you put your mind onto. Go back to the first about mental toughness. you stay focused on what you want to achieve, and you write down your goals. There's power in writing down goals. I don't know why. There's power in writing down goals. Focus on what you want, write them down. It's amazing what can be achieved.
Well, I love the analogy of a jigsaw puzzle. You know, you can sit down and attempt the jigsaw puzzle without the box and the picture, and it's not impossible, but it's improbable that you're going to get there. Have that picture, you're visualizing the result, right?
Perhaps it's like a roadmap. Like if someone says to you, go there, you could just get in your car and try and drive there. But if you haven't got a roadmap, one, you get so frustrated, you end up quitting anyway, because you could be going anywhere. But if you've got a roadmap, or now the world of the GPS, or sat nav in your car, it gets you there like that. But if you haven't got it, you get frustrated, you get angry, and it's no difference between the roadmap of life as well. Set some goals, have a map, and it's amazing what you can achieve. And you get there with a lot less frustration than if you're just going aimlessly and hope things happen. It doesn't usually happen like that.
And that's if you don't run out of fuel in the first place, right?
That's the other thing. That's exactly right. You go on a highway and you run out of petrol. It's like the jigsaw puzzle is a great analogy. You would go mental trying to do a jigsaw puzzle without knowing what the picture is.
I'm thinking we just write a book on analogies, JL. I reckon we could get a full index.
Easy.
All right, I got another one for you, mate. And I love this one because I think I know the type of answer you give, but I love to hear it from you. How important is it to celebrate the wins?
Mate, what can I say? It is so important. I'll give you a couple of examples or stories here. One, I remember nothing much about my cricket, which is my business. I might remember 100 every now and then. What I do is the celebrations after. They're my friends. That's where I learned. That's where I got the best memories, the singing the song and having parties with my mates. And celebration is, I think I might have spoken last time we spoke about when I was 16 and went to England, and I got 100 at Lords, and ringing my mum and dad from the payphone, like that's the celebration. And I'm still talking about it 34 years later. And it's the other funny thing was when I got the job at West Australia as the head coach, I had these are the values we're going to live by, and the last one, we're going to celebrate success. Hang on, I've got the old. Look, there you go. I've got that on my desk as well. That was my stubby.
Your desk must be 4 square meters, man.
It's unreal. But look, that was the values. We're going to work hard, speak honestly, respect the past, look after your mates, and celebrate success. Right? That was one of our core values at West Australian Cricket, and I still believe it. I remember my first press conference, sitting next to Christina Matthews, the CEO, who's a great lady. I love her. She's a ripper. And
gem of a human.
She is. And Ben Oliver, who was my high performance manager, and he is now high performance manager as the CEO, great bloke. I got up in my first press conference, and we're going to work hard and speak honestly, and we're going to celebrate success. And they nearly fell off the stage. They thought, these guys celebrate success too much. They're partying the whole time. And my point was that you can't be expecting excellence and encouraging excellence without being able to celebrate the good days. Because what's the point of doing it? What is the point of life if you can't celebrate the good days? We have enough bad days. I've got a lot more ducks than I've got hundreds. A lot more bad days in cricket. So when you do have a good day, mate, you realise how important it is to celebrate success. Often in the busy world we live in, this is pre-COVID.
PC as they call it.
We're so busy, and sometimes, what's the next thing? Well, it's okay to have the next thing, but you got to make sure you celebrate. This is bizarre. I've got a watch on my wrist, and I would always do something. Someone gave me some advice years ago. If you have a good day at something, buy yourself a little bit, or take someone out for dinner, or have a little celebration, or buy yourself a little gift, because every time you look at it, you will always remember that good day, and that makes you feel happy, right?
Yeah, well, it's anchoring, right? It's positive psychology 101. It's about bringing that reasons over results as well is a massive part of that, because like you said, what's the point in going out and having the shitty days in the field and chasing leather, and for an analogy for business, going through the tough times where customer drop-offs or whatever's happening, if you don't remember the times in why you began it, or the reasons behind why it all started.
Spot on, mate. And the other thing is, the only flip side to that is a lot of people just celebrate for the sake of celebrating, which is nice.
Very true. Yeah.
But the problem with that is that it can also be a sign of complacency. And in the current world we live in, there's no room for complacency. It can't just be a celebration the whole time. You can be happy every day of your life and every minute if you can. That's a celebration in itself. But a lot of people make the mistake of just celebrating for the sake of celebrating. And that's probably you could argue that's the definition of mediocrity or the definition of complacency, and that's dangerous.
100%, mate. And I think if you aren't discerning between the good and the bad, or the win and the loss, then how do you know what is the upper echelon and what's just every day?
Right.
All right, I got another one for you, which I'm looking forward to hearing. But what does it mean to your leadership and the way you coach and just you as a person to have 4 daughters? And yes, this has come from a lovely lady in our team.
What does it mean? Well, one thing, no doubt, I've become a better coach because I'm a parent. No question. I was lucky to walk in their shoes as an ex-player. That helped me. That gave me some insight in what my players are like. I really care for my players. Hopefully I show the compassion like I obviously do with my daughters. I've learned over time through the Fathering Project and Bruce Robertson, a great man, that the greatest gift I can give my 4 daughters is how I treat my wife.
100%. Yeah.
Because if I treat my wife with love and respect and care, well, that's how they'll expect to be treated from their partners in the future. And that's really important. The relationship I have with my wife is how they will expect. And I can imagine we know that there's a lot of kids who grow up in a lot different households than that. And that's sad or tough, but it's a really important lesson I learned because of my daughters. I made the mistake a few years ago of saying, I judge my players if I'd let them marry my daughters. And then in the world I live in, that's got spun out of control. But what I meant is I talk about as the coach, I want to encourage great players and great people.
Yeah.
And you're never going to you'd never want to see your daughters or your friends marry someone who hasn't got great integrity and great honesty and treat people with care and compassion. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
But, and I see that and my daughters are all classic. The other thing I've learned about my daughters as a coach is that my daughters all come from the same place and they're all so different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in my household, if my daughters are all so different, I can guarantee all my players are going to be different. And you're going to treat all my players or all my staff, support staff, they're all different. So and that's a bloody hard thing about being a leader, is you've got to treat people differently. That takes time to build relationships with different personalities, different characters. But if my daughters are all different, well, my players are going to all be different, or my friends are all going to be different. And you look at them and you take their strengths and you love them for what they are. You get in trouble when you try and categorize everyone the same. It's actually, you talk about leadership 101. It's one of the biggest lessons I've learned is you have to have the courage and the energy to treat every person different.
Yeah, I love that, because same recipe, different result. And I think that's really important. You mentioned the painting in the background of your family. I note that you do have a 6-pack. I know you brought my attention to it, but you did say keep fit, so you got to emulate success. But you were saying before, just the different elements that even they're represented within a, say, caricature, vast, but same recipe, same upbringing, I'm sure.
Yeah, one of my hippie daughters playing a guitar in the hammock. One of my daughters with a cake because she's an amazing cook. My little one, she's a little sports chick. She's doing handstands. The other one, she's sunning herself off and feeling pretty happy about life.
I love that, mate. That's
Chili the dog. I've got Chili the dog there. I think, Chili the dog's there with his ball. He likes to go for a run every day. Chili the dog's there as well.
What's Chili as a breed?
Chili's a Spoodle.
Ah, nice one. Yeah.
I'm sure my kids love him more than they love me. At least they show it.
Well, when they pat you on the head, JL, that's a bit rude, but mate, I love that. I think there's so many analogies for life there and around, not judging books by their cover and making sure that they are heard as well, I think is really important within that. And any sort of leadership capacity, you just people want to be noticed and they want to be heard. And I think that's a real
cared for as well. I mean, I talked about last time that if I get asked this a lot and I speak about it a lot. One of the most important traits of leadership is that you care about people. You make them feel special and you care about them, because And even if you're meant to be the tough guy, and you've got to give some. What I've learned actually is that if you can have honest conversations and you care for people, when you've got to have the tough conversations, it actually becomes a lot easier because whether it's your children or your family or it's people you work with, they know it's coming from the right place. It's not coming as from the wrong place.
Well, I mean, just to hark back to the conversation with Ashton Agar, obviously you had a massive impact on his life as a person, as a professional. And he said the same thing, that when the tough conversations did have to come, and the people, other players and colleagues around him that were looking up to you, it was all about the authenticity behind it.
Yeah, he's a beautiful guy. I'm so lucky. I've got these great young guys who I work with, but again, we've built relationships over time, and it's worth it. It's all like they can be hard, and you have some really hard conversations along the way. It's worth every minute of it. I might have said last time as well that my great mentors in life, the guys who were probably toughest on me throughout my life. They're only tough on me because they cared about me, and to this day, they're all my best friends. They're all the people I love and respect the most. There was times when they were really hard on me, but gee whiz, I'm glad I wouldn't be here now talking to you without those great mentors who cared about me, but were tough on me at times.
Yeah, and it's not. Tough love is the cliche, but the proof's in the pudding. If you can stay friends with them, there was some respect and some authenticity to the whole relationship, not just the professional side of it. And I think that speaks volumes for, or the results speak volumes for that as well. But
actually, I think it all comes. The most important thing of all this, and it comes down to respect and love, but is honest conversations. And honest conversation. When people say tough love, there's a picture of confrontation, but if you have honest conversations on good days and bad days, then that's what they are. They're honest. They don't have to be confrontational. It doesn't be about conflict. It's just got to be honest. And sometimes they are. You got to say things that maybe people don't want to hear, but that's not conflict. It's just say the truth. Say the truth. Say the truth. I had lunch with Alex Ferguson, that's great football coach or soccer coach, as we call it, last year.
Unreal. Yep.
One of the first things he said to me was "Truth works." I said, there's my next tattoo. Truth works.
Did you get it?
No, I haven't got it yet.
Right cheek, left cheek.
I don't know where I'll find it, but truth works. And what a great 2 words. It's like the other 2 is let go. Powerful words. Truth works. And it makes so much sense. Tell the truth and you'll be okay.
What else did Alex Ferguson impart on you? Because I'm a massive football/soccer fan. Grew up playing football until I was, my growth spurt was until I was 15, so I couldn't goalkeep anymore. I peaked too early. But someone like Alex Ferguson, known for the hairdryer or known for the spray in the change room, but there must have been some real depth to him.
Oh, incredible. Well, I learned truth works. One eye, I was only talking to some head coaches this morning, and he used to have one eye on now, this game, but also one eye on 4 or 5 years' time.
Yeah.
And that takes courage in our business, and probably in a lot of it, because you've got to try and make sure you get it right today to survive tomorrow. But actually, and for someone who won so many championships, that's great wisdom, courage and wisdom. So one eye for now, but also have an eye 4 or 5 years down the track. He talked about when you have media conference, make sure you own the message. So tell the media what you want to hear, what you want to tell them, not what they want you to say. So, and one of the lessons I've learned as the coach of the Australian cricket team, you've got to be very disciplined what you say. And he said that he used to, classic, all the guys in, unless you made the first team, you had to wear black boots.
Yeah.
You could wear colourful, but you had to wear black boots because you had to earn the right. Imagine doing that today. Everyone's got the fancy boots, but actually the reason for it was you had to work hard to earn the right to do that. So that was powerful. He talked about challenging players. You give them a bit of, you try and educate them, but if they get to a point where their character or their values don't fit with the team's value, you've got to cut them. And he said a really good thing. He said most coaches or most people think if you let go of someone, they might come back and beat you one day.
Yeah.
But what he said was, but that's okay because you only got to deal with them twice a year, not 365 days a year.
Yeah, I love
that.
We
all have them. We all have our troubled players or troubled people in your business or And I'd rather deal with him 2 days a week or 2 days a year than 365 days a year. So he was really strong on that. But
Yeah, I love that.
That was another incredible life experience. I mean, I've studied a lot of Alex Ferguson. To sit with him in a little Italian restaurant with myself and Steve Warren, his best mate, was just what an experience.
Yeah, unbelievable guy to try and emulate, and I think was successful because of everything you've mentioned, not just in this chat, but in personal chats and in the last chat online. I think taking all those, emulating success is the best way to get there, right? So
his book is called Leading. He's got a brilliant book. It's called Leading, and he talks about leadership. He said one of the things he says is that you never cede, C-E-D-E, control to the players, because someone's got to lead. If you've got lots of people trying to lead, well, that sounds great. It doesn't happen very often. So you've got to lead. You've got to have a leader, and leadership is crucial.
And I bet, knowing the caliber of ego that he would have had in that dressing room, I mean, you can only go downwards from there, really, in terms of ego, and he would have had some incredible personalities to deal with. So if you can do it in that room,
that's spot on, mate.
When you got the likes of Beckham and Giggs and stuff in the room. Mate, I like this one. If you were as good as the best, right? So if you were going to be as good as the best in any chosen sport, away from cricket, which sport would you choose to be a part of? So you were going to be the best of the best. Which sport would you partake in? I know that your brain says cricket, but
no, not really. No.
Nah?
I'd love to have my cricket career again. No doubt about that. I'd love to have my cricket career again.
In retrospect, with the same experience you have now going back, is that what you mean?
Yeah, but that's life, isn't it?
Yeah.
If I had knew then what I know now, mate, I would probably say, I'd like to say golf because I love golf, but golf's a very individual sport, and I love my brothers, my camaraderie of the team.
Ryder Cup, maybe.
Yeah, maybe if I could play Ryder Cup all the time. I'd love to say boxing, so I love my boxing, but then, no, it's a brutal sport. I
don't think you'd have
my AFL. I love my AFL. Oh, I'd love to be Joel Selwood or Shannon Hearn. Or
I was going to say, who would you model your game on in the footy world? Joel Selwood doesn't surprise me.
I love Joel Selwood. I
met him
on Boxing Day this year. He came into the MCG, and I met him, and I was like a little kid, mate. I love Joel Selwood. Yeah.
He's hard at it, like yourself, mate. Just no fear.
Selwood. Oh, mate. I don't know. That's a very good question. A very good question. I think if I could do it in another profession. If I could choose to be the best of the best in another professional, I reckon I'd be a doctor.
Wow, I love that.
Because in best of the best, I imagine is saving lives. Like we, in our business, we put out a good show on. It's an entertainment business. We get to deal with, but doctors, that is saving lives. Oh, that'd be if I could be the best of anything. I've got massive respect for Fiona Wood and Fiona Stanley, and the list goes on.
Well, I think there was a moment at the start of this year which I thought was a bit crazy, where Charlie Teo, the brain surgeon, was getting hammered for the money that it costs for a surgery, and I'm just thinking to myself, really? And we pay LeBron, $100 million, and we're worried about that, really? It just didn't sit right. That leads into my next question, which I think I remember.
But I'm a huge fan of Charlie Teo.
Oh, 100%. And so everyone should be. I just can't believe that it was even brought into the conversation. But I think that's a tall poppy syndrome.
Poppy syndrome, baby. It's alive and well, unfortunately.
It is, yeah. And we're not great at it here, are we? We're getting better. I think we're getting better, more compassionate as things go through. That led me into my next question, which when I very first met you, and I had the you to Joel Selwood moment, and I was like a little kid at the Make a Difference breakfast. It was the superhero comment you made. So what would be your superhero power if you could have any in the world?
Well, I said, you heard me say it on stage, I reckon. My superhero power would be to make people happy.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Which obviously resonated.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I think you heard me say it on stage, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And a Make a Difference Foundation. That would be my hero. I mean, that would be my superpower. No, imagine that. Imagine if I knew my kids could be happy for the rest of their lives, and my family could be happy. Imagine that. Oh,
mate.
and,
What else? What else do you live for, really, other than to make their lives as happy as possible?
That's it. So if I could have a superpower, honestly, that would be it, to make people happy. And I'm not saying it. You've heard me say it, and before we'd even met, so I'm not just saying it for the sake of saying it. That's actually what my superpower hero would be. Yeah,
that's generally, you mentioned it on stage, and then we had a quick chat, and that's why I wanted to get that in there so the listeners could, or the viewers could get a grip on what that means to you. And there's a good saying here at Happiness Co: if you're not waking up every day wanting to make someone else's life better, what's the point?
Awesome. Love it.
All right, a couple of quick ones for you, mate. This one comes from, you might guess, one of my teammates. What can Robbie Figg, an impressive into-the-wind right-arm swing bowler, do to intimidate more batsmen this summer? Down at Scarborough Sharks, shout out to those guys. So Scarb's boy as well, just not as good.
Well, he's wasting his time with his sledging, because he wouldn't be walking the talk, wouldn't he, have been a good bloke in Happiness Co?
I let the action do the
talking. What do you bowl? You can't do with your height.
I want to say skiddy, surprising outswingers.
Right. Well, okay. I'll tell you what he can do. He can learn to swing the ball more.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Moving ball, and have a good bouncer. And the moving ball is crucial. But if you're going to improve your game, learn to have a really good bouncer, because no one likes facing good fast bouncers.
No, including myself yesterday in the nets. I caught one square to the badge. I think that goes a long way towards my career getting a big boost, mate. I might even be playing ones at the end of the year. You never know.
Keep chipping away.
Visualize, right? Visualize.
Right. And practice. The only remedy. I remember when I met Dennis Lilly. Some of the people watching would never know Dennis Lilly, but Dennis Lilly was the all-time. He's the Michael Jordan of fast bowling.
Buttons.
Oh, legend. I love him, and he's a good friend of mine now. But when we were about 17 years old, we were at the Wacker, and I was a young punk, and I'm down there, and Dennis Lilly comes down to training, and he gets us all into a huddle, and he goes, "Boys, I'm going to teach you the 3 secrets to success." And we go, "Oh, what are the 3 secrets to success?" He says, "Boys, I'm going to tell you the first secret of success. Work hard." We're right, okay, no worries. Yeah,
write that down. Yeah.
Work hard. Boys, come a little bit closer. I'm going to tell you the second secret of success. And we're all going, "What is it?" Work hard.
You're like, "Oh shit!" Double down.
Right, boys. Who knows the third secret of success? Work hard. You're bloody right. Work hard. The 3 secrets that you work hard. You practice, you work hard. Oh, what advice. Was
he wrong? Yeah.
Mate, I've never met a champion in any field who hasn't got a great work ethic. And therefore, we go back to the verse values.
We're back.
Back at WA. Number 1, work hard. In the Australian team, it's now called elite professionalism, which comes down to work ethic. Tell me one person who gets better at something doing less of it.
I couldn't give you one, unless it's a trick question with a joke attached. No.
That Ricky Ponting used to say, "I've never met someone who gets better at something doing less of it."
Love it.
There you go.
That's my next tattoo right here, mate. Just down the ribs.
That's exactly.
I've decided. Mate, thanks so much again for jumping on and answering some questions. There's heaps of people reaching out to us, as I said in our text, looking for Langer live each week, but to have you twice in a row, mate, is something else.
No worries, mate. Good on you, Robbie.
We love you, mate.
Peace out, everyone. See ya. Speak to you soon.
See you, brother. Thank you.
See you guys. Bye.